currently serves as the Honourable Minister of Education following his appointment by the Nigerian President, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. Prior to his appointment, he served as the Honourable Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, where his primary focus was to transform and elevate the healthcare system in Nigeria to meet global standards, ultimately benefiting the Nigerian people. Before his ministerial appointments, Dr. Alausa served on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Presidential Policy Advisory Council on Health, which was given the responsibility of developing the current administration's health policies, specifically addressing health reforms and the enhancement of the healthcare sector in Nigeria. In his previous role as the Honourable Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Alausa also worked to ensure this administration achieves universal health coverage for Nigerians. Dr. Alausa is the founder and former executive chairman of Bill Kidney Care Center, a multi-state and nephrology physician practice in the United States, and dialysis care center, a boutique provider of dialysis services with clinics operating across several states within the United States. His initiatives helped create a national brand in the US that focused on an integrated healthcare model, resulting in optimal and continuum of care for patients with chronic kidney disease and hypertension. Dr. Alausa is a United States board-certified nephrologist with over 30 years of experience in both the private and public health sectors. He was a national leader in the Value-Based Care (VBC) initiative in the United States, a model that centers around providing the highest level of care at the lowest cost. This effort led to a restructuring of healthcare systems, which has resulted in improved patient outcomes, utilization, and significant cost savings. Dr. Alausa's influence in the value-based care space was instrumental in forming partnerships with major health payers and value-based care organizations, including United Healthcare, UHC, AETNA, Blue Cross, Blue Shield of Unions, and Somatus. Dr. Tunji Alausa's diverse experience and leadership in the healthcare sector positions him well to contribute significantly to the transformation of the country's education system and the pursuit of providing access to better quality education to all Nigerians. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to remain your anchor for today. And right there was the biography of our delectable Honourable Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa. Without taking much of our time, we said previously that the first quarter will be an interactive section with the Honourable Minister, and afterwards the next section will be a section for the Q&As. Great. The Honourable Minister, I'm ready to throw you some questions, and I'm sure you're ready to communicate with us. Thank you. I see you right there. All right. These questions are literally going to be all about, harnessing the educational sector of the children. Great. So in other words, I'm going to ask you this question. Could you please share the current percentage of Nigerian children out of school? Also, outline the strategies your ministry is implementing to reintegrate these children into the educational system. Okay. Can we hear the minister? Because I cannot hear.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I was muted. Thank you so much. Can you hear me now?
Great, I can hear.
Thank you so much, Chidima, for that generous introduction. I really appreciate that for your kindness to me. And let me assure the Nigerians that are here today that we will have a fruitful afternoon. And I'll be honest with you in what we're doing in education and what we've done, what we started as a government. Before I directly go to your question, I'll ask one of my aides to project that slide while I talk so that people can have a good visual view. Like, could you project the slide to everybody, the second page, please? And before I dive to that question, I would like to really refresh everyone attending this town hall meeting on what the president said, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, when he was campaigning across the country to become the president of Nigeria. He gave so many promises. And as he was telling Nigerians, he said, I will not lie to you. I'll get there and take difficult decisions. And when you see a leader taking difficult decisions, you know those decisions are decisions that are being made into the future, sustainability, and to protect the future generation yet to come. And that's what this president is all about. We all have seen the 9-point agenda of the president. And today, just about 24 months into President Bola Ahmed Tinubu presidency, we can see the difficult decisions he's taking. Our country today is on a better platform. Let me talk about fuel subsidy. We're borrowing money that we didn't have to pay for fuel subsidy. One of the first difficult decisions that the president took. Today, fuel subsidy is gone. We have abundance of diesel PMS available. Prices are coming down. The second, and this has been a perpetual problem in the country for the last 30 years. In just about 24 months, in less than 1 year, the president tackled this problem completely and into eternal sustainability. Let's talk about fuel exchange, all the arbitrary scam that was going on in a fuel exchange region for the past 30 years. President took difficult decision. This is the first time in the country that we have the closest gap between official exchange rate and the black market rate. And what's happened now? We talked when we started, they said Naira was overvalued. Today, Naira is undervalued. The PPR, the purchasing power ratio of Naira today, should be $1 to 1,046 Naira. So Naira is overvalued. So if government start making intervention in improving the value of Naira, that's where you want to be as a development economist, as a policy planner, as a fiscal planner. Another landmark change that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done. Let's look at security. The insecurity we're having in the country was just not to use force, which we call kinetic strategy. President said we will deploy kinetic and non-kinetic strategy. Today, and as my last briefing with the Chief of Defense Staff, 70% of the strategy we're using is non-kinetic. And what's non-kinetic? And stakeholder engagement, engaging the people, bringing opportunities to the people. And we've seen the result of that. The country has never been safer in the last 20 years. This is another major accomplishment of the president. The president said, you can't develop, you can't have economic prosperity without security. Now, we see farmers have gone back to their farms. What did we see in the result? Abundance of food production. What's happened in the last 2 months? Food prices have dropped by almost 50%, mostly due to increased food production. And we also see massive infrastructure development all across the country. Roads that have not been touched in 20 years. If you put the kilometer of road construction that this President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has engaged in in the last 2 years. We totally, it's more than what the collective government in the past, in the last 12 years have engaged in. Beyond that, we see a lot of increase in law and order in the country. The president also believes fervently in human capital development. And when you talk about human capital development, what are you talking about? You're talking about education, which is the foundational basis of any society. You're talking about healthcare and social protection. This president, like no other president has done, has committed the highest budgetary allocation to health, education, and social protection in the 2024 budget and in the and more recently 2025 budget. Now, I'll talk more about human capital development, which is my own privileged responsibility that Mr. President has given me. We also, I'm also going to quickly talk about energy security. Now, we're using more of transitional energy, CNG, compared to natural gas. President is building, as mandated, the Rural Electrification Agency to build independent mini grid that will generate between 2 megahertz to 12 megahertz across our universities, our tertiary institutions, university, polytechnic, colleges of education, and teaching hospitals and federal medical centers. We're going to be hearing several of those will be commissioned in the next few months by Mr. President. Now, we also are talking about liberalization of our energy law. Today, first time in the history of our country, state governors can engage in areas of energy generation, distribution, and transmission. This is massive in our country. Now, I can continue to talk about what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been able to achieve in the last 24 months, but I'll just give you a brief synopsis of that. Now, let me go to your question by Chidima. Said I should share the current percentages of our out-of-school children. Right. As you can see on the slide, here we have between the ages of 5 to 14 years, we have 60 million Nigerians. And unfortunately, out of these 60 million Nigerians, we have 45 million learning poor. What do I mean by learning poor? That means these 45 million people cannot read age-appropriate tests at age of 10 years old, have one of the highest level of learning poverty in the world. But we're already seeing some reduction in that, have clear strategy on how we're going to address this. Now, your specific question about out-of-school children, depending on the statistic you're looking at, some say it's about 20 million, 15 million, 10 million. But the Federal Ministry of Education, we're working on 15 million out-of-school children. Of these 15 million out-of-school children, how do we break this down? 50% of these 15 million people have never enrolled in school. 25% of them they went to school and dropped out of school. While 25% are majoring. And depending on your qualification of a majoring, are they really out of school? A larger chunk of them are not out of school. They are in school, but they're only really doing one thing, Quranic memorization. But then, how do we now begin to bring numeracy, literacy, vocational skills to them? We have a clear plan on how we're going to do that. And today, we have 20 million adolescent girls in the country between the ages of 12 and 19. 6 million of these account for the 15 million of out of school. And with a unique demography, today we have one of the highest birth rates in the world. If our population continues to grow at this rate, by the year, in 25 years from now, year 2050, we'll have a population of 400 million people. We have to address that we don't get to that level. And if we do get to that level, we have to be ready in terms of all the infrastructure, the things we need to support this huge population. And today, Nigeria has the best and the most unique demography in the world. We have a population of 220 million people. Of these 220 million people, 70 to 75% of that population, they're below the ages of 30 years. We have 42% below the age of 15 years old. So that's untapped demography. And this is what this president is all about. President believes fervently and benevolently in expanding our human capital. And the president, when it comes to education, when it comes to health, when it comes to social protection, has given us all the support, the political will. Everything we go to ask the president about in this area, it gives. And as the president is focusing on human capital development, as I earlier mentioned, is focusing on every single sector of the economy as well. So I'll stop there. That addresses, I believe, the data I've given have addressed your first question, Chidima, except if you want a follow-up question on that, or you want to move forward.
Great. That was a very smart answer. You know, your chat literally showed that you had a very large overview of this current situation, which we are talking about. But in other words, we have further questions, and that question is about the specific measures that your ministry is taking to enhance the quality of education in Nigeria today. You know, I mean, we want to make sure that, or we all strive to make sure that the rank of the educational sector in our country, Nigeria, is among the best worldwide. So, I mean, what are the specific measures that your ministry is literally putting out there?
Thank you, Chidima, for this opportunity. And I'll get please put on the second slide on our high priority areas. On the go to the second slide of the pillar, and then before we go to this high priority areas. Now, can you live? Yes, very good. Now, our clear strategy here is to move Nigeria from a resource-based economy to a knowledge-based economy. And I'm going to reel out a lot of the things how we're addressing this. It's not how we wish to address this. We're already addressing this, and we're seeing results already. The first pillar is equitable access to basic education. Education is the foundational base of any society. Adopted education. That has what led to where Nigeria is today. You see Nigerians abroad that studied here. By the time they went abroad, they're excelling in every single sector of the world globally. In educational sector, medicine, research, science, technology, law, finance. So that tells everybody one thing. The education that people got 20, 30, 40 years ago was durable education. Now, a lot of things have happened in the intervening last 3 decades that our value of education is gone down. But what we're now doing is that we're now working to provide, based on President Bola Tinubu mandate, a highly qualitative education to every single citizen of Nigeria. And we will move a country from a resource-based to a knowledge-based economy. Pillar 1, equitable access to basic education. You can see some of the things we've listed under Pillar 1. I don't want to be repetitious here for the benefit of time. I want us to get the maximum value out of these 2 hours. Number 2, inclusive quality education and learning outcomes. And how do we intend to achieve that? Number 3, strengthen governance and management in our educational system. We've done so much well within that. We've improved governance at a basic foundational education level with implementing several of the policies that we have. Number 2, improve governance at a secondary school level and a tertiary institution level. And with these 3 pillars, we have 3 cost-cutting enablers: data and digitalization. Have disparate data in the educational system. We're not using and not collecting enough data. And in life, if you don't use data, you die. You need data for planning, you need data for intervention, and you need data to monitor your outcomes. We have quickly moved to set up the Nigeria Education Data Infrastructure. We're working with one of the biggest consulting firms in the world. We engage them to help us to set up our data infrastructure. And hopefully we will have the first live dashboard by July. So we're really heavily focus on data and digitalization as one of our high priority areas. Also, education is on the concurrent list. The subnational governments are the ones that control 98% of the schools, from the foundational level to secondary school level. So we now have intense collaboration with the subnational government and the state commissioner for education. We're meeting more. We help them revitalize their forum. We provided secretarial for them. We're collaborating more on policy implementation and monitoring outcomes. And as we develop our technology our platform, we're helping the state as well, so that we're all on the same platform. We can have multiple APIs, we can share data that will be publicly available, that will be confidentially available as well. And also, as the third cross enabler, partnership with our development partners, private sector, and civil society is one of the major things we quickly reactivated. We have the Nigeria Education Group that meets, in which myself and the Minister of State are both the co-chairman of this group. We reactivated that group. We're talking more robustly, coordinating together. And as I told you, all this is within our Nigeria Education Sector Renewal Initiative for Renewal. And what we've done, based on my own earlier experience and working with Honourable Party, had the Ministry of Health. When we came in, there was so much fragmentation in that sector. And we said, we can't allow this to continue. If you have this fragmentation to continue, everybody's working on silo. So we quickly formed the SWAP, the sector-wide approach, where we said, what is sector-wide approach? Let's all look at that. Let's look at the problems together, align our efforts. And once we align our efforts, we'll have a much more impactful outcome. As we align our efforts, we can now begin to do joint annual review. In the education sector today, we form what we call the ESWAP, education sector, a sector-wide approach, which is part of our Nigeria Education Sector Renewal Initiative. I'll tell you, these are the three pillars of our agenda that we've started, and I'll repeat, we're seeing early results already. But this agenda, these pillars, and the cross-cutting enablers we carefully put together for in a way that it will be sustainable, not for now, but into eternal future. And let me now tell you about our 6 high focal areas that we're working on. Now, the number 1 high focal area is our expansive approach on TVET, technical vocational education and training, which used to be part of our education system 30 years ago. But in the intervening last 2 decades, TVET went completely out of our, almost got extinct. We focus more on tertiary education, providing white-collar jobs that are not available. And today you have a larger percentage of our tertiary institutions, from our universities to polytechnics and colleges of education, training Nigerians out, churning them out in hundreds of thousands, but with no life skills. And unfortunately, these citizens get out of these schools with the belief that they're graduates, but you're a graduate with no life skills. And that's what is contributing so much to the high unemployment and underemployment rate we have in the country. And I'll tell you today, is not that Nigeria today is not generating enough jobs. We're generating jobs, but there are people out there that companies and industry cannot recruit. I'll give one case in example. Dangote Refinery was looking for thousands of technicians to man its refinery. About 10,000 or so. Unfortunately, they could only recruit 1,000 in Nigeria. And Dangote had to go to the refinery had to go to India to bring these people in. So what does that tell us? You have young people out there, they've gone to school, but no life skills. And that's what we're changing. We want to through these citizens to give them life skills for them to be able to be useful to themselves, useful to the community they live, useful to the country and the world at large. With a TVET agenda, we have clear pathway on how we're going to do this. We have 4-step approach. Step 1, we will incentivize Nigerians to go to school, to go to technical vocational school by paying them a monthly stipend that is reasonable. The school that they're going to, the technical schools that we've categorized into 3 broad categories. skill training centers, the Vocational Enterprise Institute, and the technical colleges would be giving decent tuition for each of the students that go there. So each of the students that goes there, so that we can now begin creating a different value chain in a technical education center where these schools will now have more revenue, more resources to hire teachers and invest more in their workshop, so that we can begin to train Nigerians, give them decent skills on what they can do and be more productive to the country. Now, the step 4 is that we would pay the MasterCard person. Those are the artisans, the large industry, the medium-sized industry, and the artisans. Pay them for every student that they train. The way we design the TVET curriculum is that we will focus heavily on practical training. I call what I now use in my favorite word, the vast Pareto rule. What is Pareto rule? Pareto is what is success. Success is 80% policy, 20% policy and 80% implementation. And that's what we're set to do with our technical and vocational education and training. We will use 80% more of the time of this training on practical training and just 20% on didactics. We believe if we do that, we'll be able to equip these citizens with life skills that they know, that they're confident that they can use. And the step 4 of our strategy of TVET is, okay, you've gotten trained, some of you want to go work for people, but some of you want to be entrepreneur. We will give them entrepreneurial grants as they're finishing. And as we finish, some of them, we're mindful of the fact that the entrepreneurial grant might not be enough. And what the president has also intervened here is directed the CEO of Nigerian Bank of Industry to work with us on this. And any of these students that are graduating that got entrepreneurial grant and they need top-up credit, Bank of Industry can give them top-up credit at single digit rate. We're working closely together, and I report to you that in the next few weeks, our TVET agenda will be officially unveiled. We've gotten a lot of responses, a lot of excitement on this, and we think we're doing the right thing for the first time on our technical vocational and educational training in the last several decades. And as we do this, we also, when we came in as a government, we had about 95 trades. We said this is too unwieldy. We have to do what is needed in the country. We did labor gap analysis, what the industry who are the end user of this output that we're doing, we use. And we've narrowed the trades that we'll be training these citizens on into just about 28 trades, which has been categorized into different areas of construction, engineering, and other areas. And we've also do a blended trade so that we can have enough female participation as well. And in the trade that we're offering. And also, we now use a lot of renewable energy, solar panel, people installing solar panel repairs, CNG conversion and retrofitting and repairs. So we've also created new trade in areas of solar panels, renewable energy, solar panel, electric cars and electric tricycles, and as well as CNG conversion and retrofitting. So today we're very confident that as these citizens graduate from various 3 categories of technical schools we've mapped out, the skill training center will offer 6 months for people that have dropped out of school or people that have not been to school. The vocational enterprise institution, which will be 12 months of training, for people, GSS people that drop out of that completed their GSS, people that finished their SSS, even some university graduates. We have the 3-year technical colleges as well. On the extreme end of our TVET, looking at university students, graduates of our tertiary institution students, have spoken about that they're graduates, but they don't have any life skills. How do we now quickly begin to give them life skills? We now have the digital technology academy that was created. It's a boutique creation based on international available data. Today, There's so much job available in the area of software development methodology. Based on the last UNESCO data of 2024, there were 694,000 vacancies in software development methodologies today. There are about 280,000 vacancies in proactive security that is also known as cybersecurity. There's about 185,000 vacancies in cloud computing, about 160,000 vacancies in AI and machine learning. There's about 68,000 vacancies in natural language processing. So if you round all this together, there are almost over 2 million jobs out there available today worldwide that are looking for people to service those industries. Now, what are we doing with this? We're working with Coursera. We finalized the agreement with Coursera and a big open university system here, and our biggest technology school, their Bachelor of Technology, to run 6-month programs for university, tertiary institution final year, and graduates of a tertiary institution. We will pay their internet. The government will pay for their internet service. Will pay for the internet service and will pay for their certification on this area. Once they enroll in these courses, they can now earn Cisco certification, Huawei certification, AWS certification, Google certification. And once they get the certification, we do 6-month training in coding in the form of JavaScript, Java, Python, and all those areas. People can have young citizens of Nigeria sitting in Lagos, Abuja, Abeokuta, Kaduna, Kano, servicing companies in the UK, in Singapore, in Hong Kong, anywhere in the world, and they will be earning decent monthly salary. Even at the lowest end, they will earn about $4,000 to $5,000 a month, servicing international companies. Even today, we have shortage of several of these skill sets that I've spoken to you about. Now, we're going to be launching that as well, and we hope to equip many tens of thousands of our university graduates with these skills, in the digital technology skills. Now, let me move fast to the second high priority area, STEM. STEM is 2 hands. But now we have an expansive focus on science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and medical sciences. And I said, this is a huge area. The one Nigeria, there's shortage of, I'll just take one example. We have shortage of doctors, pharmacists, dentists, nurses, name it, in the medical sector. Today, in Nigeria, train 2 million nurses. The system will not be taught. Even if we overtrain, what will happen? There's huge need for Nigerians abroad, nurses, doctors. We train them. They'll go out, work the way our cultural linkage is all about. People will send money back to the country. That's a big foreign direct investment to the country. And I'll tell you, before President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came in as the government, we're only enrolling 28,000 nurses annually into our nursing school. Today, we're enrolling almost 17,000 nurses annually into our nursing school, and we have target to go to almost 128,000 nurses enrollment a year. We're working aggressively on that. We're already seeing results in a medical school. We have TechFund, high impact intervention for 2025. And this I know, am I going through the next several years? Those high impact interventions have been dedicated to target medical schools, 18 medical schools across the 6 geopolitical zones, for them to improve capacity to train doctors, dentists, pharmacists, and nurses in the first cohort. They will get this money to build, to improve their infrastructures in their classes, laboratories, instructional materials, libraries, and use tech and expand more technology in training. This medical school will also get simulation lab that we also are building 6 across the country in the first set. And I can tell you, between this high impact intervention, we will be spending 70 billion naira, and I repeat, 70 billion naira to target this 18 medical school in this 2025. There will not be new construction. This will be all to rehabilitate existing infrastructure and add more technology to our school. And for the simulation lab that we're going to be building to expand, to scale up, the number of people that we can train. We're spending another 40 billion naira on that. This is all this intervention is based on the benevolence of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is giving us. I would say it's not. I wish I could have asked more. I went to the president to ask for additional funding for education. Every single thing I listed in hundreds of billions of budgetary allocation, the president just closed it and approved. I said, when it comes to education, you can get anything from me. Though I wish I'd asked him for more, but what we have now, we have enough to move our agenda forward. And as we've expanded capacity, expanding capacity in our medical school, also because the medical school admission is heavily regulated. Nursing school admission, pharmacy school admission, they're heavily regulated by the regulatory council, NBC, NPCN, Nigerian Nursing and Midwifery Council. We need to build accommodation. So each of these 18 medical schools also get brand new hostel accommodation with 7 million naira dedicated to each of these institutions for new hostel. I only spoke to you about the medical school. In the engineering sector as well. We're building we're rehabilitating the labs and things like that. Every sector here, we laser focus on, and we've already started several of those. And let me quickly move to the third agenda, data and digitalization. I told you how we're building this expansive Nigeria Education Data Initiative, where we will be from a foundational level, can monitor children, kids from when they get to school, when they start school, through the entire educational journey in the foundational level to get into tertiary institution. So we can plan, we can guide them. We can now monitor and tell you if a child is dropping out of school, we can quickly mark it out, intervene. Why are they dropping out of school? And give them intervention. Like the Honourable Minister of Education will say that, we talk about this out of school children. Because it's every year, you have millions of people adding to it. So if you're not working aggressively to move these people up, we have a crisis in our hand. And that's why we're very patient in moving aggressively. I'll tell you about this fourth high priority area, out of school children. I will link that to our girl child education. We have clear plan on how we're doing this. It's not how we're going to do this, how we're doing this now. We have a high ministerial committee that is co-chaired by myself and the Honourable Minister of Education, Professor Suwaibat Said Ahmad, on out of school children agenda. We put every single agency in the educational sector, together that are working, the agencies working on out of school. We have the Nigeria Out of School Commission, we have UBEC, we have the National Nomadic Commission, we have the NMEC, the National Mass Enlightenment Commission. So we're all working. We have a technical ministerial team now that we're meeting monthly. We have a technical working group that we developed, mapped up a strategy, we're already intervening. And with the out of school agenda, we also have World Bank funding. We have two major World Bank funding that we're using to support that. We have the better additional financing, the better education service delivery for delivery that with the first part of that funding was exhausted. We got another global partner for educational funding of 120 million, that is focused on 3 states, Adamawa, Oyo, and Katsina, to improve infrastructure, to more pop kids out of school. So we're working with retool that, we're retooling that loan to fit more into our next week agenda. Of course, everybody said about our hope, the 560 million new approval that we've been working with a World Bank that just got approved just this past week by World Bank. We're moving it quickly to Federal Executive Council, all the other steps that are needed for us to start drawing down that loan and credit to our government, which we're hoping that by August, we will start drawing that. That human opportunity for prosperity and equity for education, that $560 million loan will be run and will be managed at a sub-national government in what we call P4R, program for results, where we design carefully carefully curated DLIs, delivery linked indicators. Where state will perform, the state will spend their money, and as we verify that they met those targets, they will be paid. And we're working that this will now be the credit, the World Bank credit to federal government, but we're working on giving that grant to the state so that we can have more state involvement, more subnational government involvement. And I can report to you today the number of expression of interest that we've gotten from us as a state governor has been so pronounced. We have, and we're very happy that the state governors are excellent. Our governors are very including into the agenda of reducing the high out of school children body that we have in the country. As a link out of school children to girl child education, we have a plan, what we call the Lumina program, that we created to address girl child education that also involve mothers. The Minister of State for Education is leading that initiative. We've mapped out what we're going to do. We're now putting budgetary allocation together. We have fund to support this. And as we're layering the Lumina program on the successful ongoing AJAR loan, World Bank loan that we're running. AJAR stands for Adolescent Girls Initiative for Learning Empowerment that is carefully targeted to our secondary school education. It's a $1.2 billion credit, $1.2 billion credit by the World Bank, and it is one of the biggest investment by World Bank in any education in sub-Saharan Africa or any part of the world. We have 18 states that are participating in AJAR. We're seeing very good results. More schools are being built. Educational infrastructures are being put in this school. Wash facilities are being put in these schools. Support are being given. Conditional cash transfers are being given to parents to send their kids to school. And we see more confidence in girls going to school. Now, we also have other programs that the First Lady, Mrs. Oluwemi is leading on second chance education for women that dropped out of school. She's opening she's been working with the UBEC, University Education Commission, to build this second chance school across the country. I think we have 6 scheduled to be built in this year. From last year, 2 6 this year. 2 have already been commissioned. We have several. And the First Lady is also big on early child care development education, which has been the pre-primary education, which this government, successful government in Nigeria have never focused on. We now have a strategy on how we're going to be building these early child care development centers. That will be community run. We're doing it in such a way that this will be sustainable. It's not government. It's not going to be another government white elephant project. We will do it in such a way that these centers will be built. The community development association that will manage them would manage them so that young kids will go there, and we will just give them budgetary support every year, and they will raise some of the other funding from the local community. The First Lady will be launching that very soon. And let me move more now to data education quality assurance. You know, we now have a clear pathway on how we're quality assuring the kind of education we give to our children and the quality of teachers that will be training and teaching our children. So we have clear plans. We put at this. We will use a lot of technology here as well. And I want to be mindful of the time, but it's just so difficult to say to go through this clarity. I don't want to rush too, but I will stop here. Chidima, please take it over. Chidima, can you hear me? Chidima, hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear
you. Okay.
I can hear you, Honourable Minister. Perhaps she's on mute.
Okay, Chidima, I can't hear you. So it must be from you, Chidima.
Oh, great. So can you hear me now, Your Excellency? Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I was probably muted though. I beg your pardon. Great. So that was a very, very, very intelligent and excellent contribution to actually shared with us right here. I mean, if there were some measures I loved too good, they were the 3 parameters which you made a label on. You spoke about the data digitalization, collaboration, and partnerships. You know, I mean, from the greatest knowledge of all time, I've always understood that collaborations and partnership is literally one of the great measures on how to spread the increase or the growth of the educational system in our country, you know, of Nigeria today. I mean, getting to collaborate with, you know, a few persons who are in line with your insights and your, you know, your perspectives or perceptions on how to add the value to the educational sector. Also, I loved those strategies and measures by the NESRI. You know, there I heard you looking at different ways on how to harness, you know, graduates, you know, coming out of school and not having something to do. And I heard you mentioned the improvement of the hand skill education and technology. That was really a very, very good one. And I encourage that, Your Excellency. Thank you very much. In other words, we have the interactive section right now. And this is, I mean, I was seeing hands wobbling up to literally 2 questions. I'm with you, Your Excellency. So we're going to have 2 questions now. We're going to take 2 questions and then we'll get back to you. And then we have some other questions added right there. So that's how I'm going to do right here. I see distinguished Meji Falana raising his hands to share some questions with you. So let's have him unmuted so that he could literally share his questions. So 2 persons at a time, 2 persons to His Excellency. That's how we're going to do that.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. Good afternoon, sir, Your Excellency. I consider it a great pleasure to be part of this, and thank you for the great work you are doing. I've been following every post you have been making. My question is about the education technology sector in Nigeria. The sector is valued more than $1 billion already and is one of the most advanced sector, creating local solutions to local problems. And looking at the presentation you made about 4 to 5 million learning poverty and 6 million out of school children, how can we co-create with your ministry, given the fact that we in this sector have actually digitized and helped tens of thousands of schools over the years with local understanding of the sector? I have been talking to some of my colleagues, and I don't want to put you on spot, sir. It is just a direct question. How can we co-create with you? We are ready to work with you and give the local experience that we have in this space to help scale your solutions. And the second question is about what are the contingency strategies we can put in place, positioning our talents for remote jobs in the days of trade wars and issues of tariffs globally, and also with artificial intelligence and quantum computing taking roles away. If these things affect the talent we are developing, what are the contingency plans that we can layer alongside our plan? Thank you, sir.
Great, let's have the next question. And that question will be from Dr. Tomi Messi. Dr. Tomi Messi, please do well, throw your question, please. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for this great discussion, and greetings to the Honorable Minister. He is actually my personal doctor when I was in Chicago, Illinois, born and raised. It is a great honor for Honorable to really sacrifice after serving as a distinguished medical doctor in the great state of Illinois. I am the vice president of our Nigerian diaspora organization, America's group in Savannah, Georgia. And my question to the minister is, how can we strategize to explore and partner with the diaspora and our institutions here for, a centers of excellence and an innovation hub, partnering with universities here in America to promote skills transfer and reverse brain drain. And the reason for this question is a lot of our top doctors, I'm an epidemiologist, so many people migrate to the US. Many of us have now had that opportunity to come home. And this minister is a testament of that. He could have stayed in America with a very comfortable career. He saved many lives and he served here as a distinguished doctor. And he even got a Lifetime Achievement Award in healthcare from our Nigerian diaspora group. So, but what can we do? Because I'll give you a great example. When I was younger in college, just a quick one, I had a cardiac problem. My cardiologist in Chicago actually did his residency in Jos in Plateau State through an exchange program. So how can we ignite those programs? Nigerian Americans are the most educated and distinguished migrants here in America. So how can we tap in and be able to, to fill the gap between what's going on back at home and the expertise of subject matter experts back here in the diaspora? Thank you. Over to you.
Great, let's hear from you, Your Excellency, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll try to be short and more directed with my answer. I want to get as many questions, and we can continue the ongoing conversation. I'll share my email so that people can send more questions into the future. Good question. On technology. You can't leapfrog into the future without technology. So even this 1 billion that you said is probably on the quota. We have a lot of young Nigerians. It's just in their DNA. They're tech geeks. They're innovators. And now we're talking about AI and machine learning into the future, generative AI and things like that. So we've engaged a lot with several tech companies. We're also working with Honourable Minister Tunji, the Minister for Digital Economy, Innovation, Communication and Digital Economy. We have, and also let me remind people here, Mastercard Foundation is very big in empowering. They have a huge investment that they're doing targeted investment by themselves, spending it to the government for expansive youth empowerment, creating entrepreneurs. They're focusing, they're investing in the tech sector as well. So we are going to use technology now in the way we get our teachers to use, give them iPad to plan, to do their teaching plans, lesson plans, and also where the curriculum will be, they can access the curriculum. We're also talking to some AI companies that they can convert local languages, 95 different languages into anywhere. As the teacher is teaching the language, you can get it in English or Alausa and create summary of those teaching the class to you at the end of the day. And if you want more resource, where you can go to get resource on that. We're doing that for the foundational level and also a secondary school and the tertiary level. So, and I just had a meeting with a company yesterday, on how we're going to do, we're deploying a digital screen across the schools, secondary school, with piloting with the federal unity schools and expand it to secondary schools across the countries and primary school as well. So a lot of people have come to us in terms of content, in terms of hardware. So if you want, we have a dedicated team working on that at the Ministry of Education. We can't get enough of this EdTech collaboration. So we have clear strategy on how to do that. Your second question about strategies to harness the talent, the abundance of talent we have in the country for remote jobs. I said it during my presentation of what we're doing to get tens of thousands of potential tertiary institutional graduates and people in the final year, how we will equip them with specific skills, a skill set like software development, methodologies, AI and machine learning, proactive security, cloud computing, and natural language processing, and other things. So we can talk to you more about that, but we have we're launching that. I've met with the AWS team in Virginia, in Arlington, Virginia. We have the platform we're going to use now. We're finalizing an MOU with Coursera, which is an international. You all know what Coursera, and we also have our own National Open University of Nigeria today. That I'm pleased to report to you that there are 138,000 students attending that university, and it's online. They're using online training, and they have a lot of centers all across the country equipped with computers. We also going to work in partnership with them. We use their centers for citizens that don't have computers. The same thing with Yaba Technology. They're already doing a lot in website design, training young girls, young men and women there. So we have clear plan for this, and this will be launched very soon. We know we can move into the future. We don't equip people with this specific technology skill set. And that's on top of what Mr. President has already mandated several ministries to do, to give digital literacy to 50 million Nigerians between now and the year 2027. Now, told me to answer your question about Center of Excellence and how to do reverse brain gain. The Nigerians are flourishing all across the world. We have good people changing countries, developed countries, and this based on those, and their capabilities are all based on the education they got in Nigeria. We know this, and that's why I carefully in the Ministry of Education now I have a special advisor on diaspora who's focusing on doing exactly what you said. Unfortunately, we've had a late start in building the technology platform that we need. We're building a dashboard now that will be interactive. We have two parts, both effacing, outward effacing and inward effacing. On the outward side, we'll get Nigerians to tell us where their competencies and capabilities are, where they want to help and contribute to the country. And then we'll, on the inside side, on the inward side, we're going to hospitals and universities to let them know that what are the things you need. So we're now building algorithms to match those outside the outside available skill set into what we need in the country. And once we match those areas of need, reach out to those Nigerians that we want you. Can you go to the University of Jos? They need expertise in training for this coding, or they need expertise in training their research, building their research capacity. And how many, we also ask those Nigerians, how many weeks can you volunteer in a year? The government will pay for their travel, will pay for their local logistics, everything. We won't pay you stipend for that, but we'll pay everything you need. The government will pay for that. So we hope to launch that dashboard very soon. And I'm also happy to report to you that we now have dedicated funding out of Tertiary Education Trust Fund that will support this initiative. And we're also going to ring-fence this funding so that this becomes sustainable even after we've left the Ministry of Education. So I hope I answered both of your questions.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. In other words, from all you said, invariably, the people from the diaspora must have an intentional motive of support to our country, Nigeria. Great. So let's have the next question sections from two persons right here. Let me have Adewale Ajayi share his questions. Adewale Ajayi, good.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
oh,
we
okay.
can.
That's Alausa. Good afternoon, sir. My dear uncle, I'm really proud of you, sir. And a lot of people on the platform might not know your capability and ability If the host allowed you, you can keep on going on for another 5-6 hours. You are a round peg in a round hole. I don't know how the presidency did it to move you away from the Ministry of Health to Education. But I love what you have done. You've been to Queen's College in Lagos and whatever, but you've answered half of my question. The next half is to see you. I want to see you tour the whole of Nigeria. The whole of Nigeria, our schools, because you see, most of these civil servants that we work for or we work with, I call them evil servants. They tell you a different thing and they do a different thing. So if they said seeing is believing, I would love you, sir, to tour this state, all the 36 states plus Abuja. You're already in Abuja. To see things for yourself, situation of our tertiary school and secondary school and primary and university for yourself. I love what you are doing about the university. Electricity and internet accessibility is very important in our universities. The primary school, I've got I'm from Osho, the local government. I've got my education secretary who is on board as well. I don't know how the local government can benefit from what the federal government is doing. I know they are connected with the state, but I don't know how function is because the health minister, he did ambassador 774 ambassador. I don't know if you can replicate that to have education ambassador in 774 local government who will be under direct purview of yours, sir. Then lastly, I would love a situation whereby there will be no strike with ASU, with the National Union of Teachers. It will be very good to have a good collaborative and work relations with them to understand their feeling. There should be, this is renewed hope and renewed agenda. I would not want a situation whereby there will be strike again. I know you can't satisfy people, but knowing your pedigree, sir, and know what you can do, please, we should avoid strike or any sort under your leadership. Thank you and God bless.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Dewale Ajayi. Let's hear the next question from Dr. Aderonke Kujoro. Dr. Aderonke Kujoro, let's hear your question.
Thank you very much, and warm greetings to everyone. So you've said a lot of good things, the Honourable Minister, due respect. Couple questions for you. I run a foundation in Nigeria, and we are out in rural areas across the country teaching technology. We have over 100 children's libraries across the country. And what I'm finding is that we talk a lot, but there isn't the people that need this impact the most are not seeing it. How can we keep you accountable? When will we start seeing out-of-school children re-enrolled in schools? And what are your plans to ensure that all our children in primary and secondary schools have basic technology skills? Because right now we're lagging. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Aderonke. Let's have the Honourable Minister communicate with us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Chidima, let me just one thing. There's several people asking questions in the chat group. So please, let's not ignore they're using technology. So let's also look at that. You can get somebody to look at those questions and so that you can list in with the question you're asking me. So I don't want us to ignore to see I've seen several questions there. Now, let me first of all, I'll answer Adewale Ajayi's question. Thank you for the compliment. You're very correct that I need to tour the entire Nigeria. You're very correct, and this is actually, I would say this, it's evidence-based to me. As I go on this tour, I see things that you cannot find if you stay within the confines of your office, or if you just stay in Abuja. And I try to do many, many more of this tour. But then there are also a lot of work that we have to do, myself and other Minister of State for Education have to do. I'll tell you today, we're buried up in meetings, and it's not about just meetings to just talk. We've done enough talking in the education system, sector. It's now acting where we're so nimble and our time to action now is so short. So we would also, between myself and the other Minister of State for Education, we will be doing more of those travel out to the state. I promise you that. And you talked about the education ambassadors. What you saw the president recently launched the Ed Fellows in each of the 774 local governments. It's an impressive thing that myself and the Mr. Party we worked together on that while I was there. And I was so glad that it's come to fruition so quickly. We also have some replica of that we're working on in the ministry, Ministry of Education. We're calling this a project monitoring officer, project monitoring officers to monitor our TVET program. We're finishing work because we have to be very careful of when these people start working. They will use a lot of technology as well as physical presence in each of these 774 local government. We're finishing work with one of the biggest international consulting firms to design the KPIs of what they're going to do, the structure of what they're going to finalize. And we've gotten the fund. We've recently secured the funding for this very expensive international consulting agency. I don't want to mention their name. You people know them. Everybody on this platform would know them. They don't like their name to be mentioned in public. Because they provide high quality service. And that's why I've waited for them. We have the funding now, we finalize the KPIs for them, the modeling of how they're going to work for these PMOs. And as we roll out these PMOs, we also have one core part of our education, component of education that has not been well used. It's almost gone into extinction based on funding. It's called FECAS, SECAS, and LECAS. FECAS is a federal education quality assurance system service, and SECAS is a state education quality assurance system, and LECAS, local education quality assurance system. It's well built well as part of our National Council of Education Policy, but they've not been used well lately in the last probably several years. And what FECAS does is that we have one each state has an education quality assurance director. Each local government has that with multiple educational quality people there going to each local government. So what we've done now is this has been carefully brought under the direct control of the Minister for State for Education. We're going to use the civil servants for sustainability. We found dedicated funding to support them. So between our PMOs and our reinvigorated and rejuvenated FECAS, SECAS, and LECAS, we'll have clear way of what you're saying, to use your clear word education ambassador. Those are things that will happen in the next few months. And let me report to you about your strike, about what you said about strike from ASUB, and COESU. If you can see today, in the last 25 years, this is the longest time the tertiary education system has gone without strike. It's all kudos to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's directly involved with this. And we've had more engagement with ASUB, COESU. These are good people. They're good unions, but what's happened before in the preceding decades that government will get into agreement with these people. And they will say, okay, we have an agreement, gentleman agreement. They will sit and say, okay, government, implement the agreement. And if things are going to change, come and meet with us. Tell us you can't meet this agreement at this point. But then, before, government never meets up the commitment to them. But that's changed. We have the president that puts so much integrity on what he says. So the president promises this, he meets this action. And that's the directive that the president is giving us. And I can tell you one more thing, just as we're finishing the budget for this 2024 budget, there's a promise that government has promised us since 2003, which was almost 22 years ago, about needs assessment. Government told us to go and do needs, commission a team to do needs assessment of what the universities needed. Government promised them 1.2 trillion. naira to support those needs assessments. And it was 300 billion tranche each every year over 4 years. Government did not do that. It was government of President Bola Tinubu that came, okay, during campaign, there was problem. Government Bola Tinubu came, gave them the first 200 billion after almost 23 years. And now, as things, it was between the time I got to the Ministry of Education, it was about the budget period. They allocated another 300 billion for 2024, 2023, but it wasn't moved forward. So now, if we didn't get it appropriated in 2025, we'll have big trouble with ASU, and COESU. So just a few days before President sent his budget to National Assembly, I went to met President and said, we have problems here. We have to make a commitment here. President just looked up and said, God, 200 billion, the budget is finalized, what am I going to do? And I felt so moved. He said, I exhausted all the money, and said, but I have to do something. The 19th day, President approved 150 billion against to cover for this year, and will cover the additional shortfall for 2025 in the succeeding year. So that's how this president is working with unions to ensure that our kids are kept in school. And we're engaging well and closely with the executive of these unions. We're talking. There's several more things that have been promised to them that we finalize. The agreement president is giving go ahead. I don't have that much time to talk about the specifics. Now, let me quickly go to Aderonke's question about, I am so glad that you're working in the rural community, most of the most rural part of our community, of our country. Thank you for your job in helping to take library education to library services to those communities. And I give you enough of talk. We don't, if we're talking about talk, we don't the most talk in this country. And the Minister of Education that myself and other Minister of Education leads today, it's not about talk, it's about action. And you can hold us accountable. And I can tell you today, in the last several months, we're moving kids out of school. In Abuja today, in the last 3 months, we've moved almost 20,000 kids out of school. We have clear-cut agenda. In the next 2 years, how we plan to move almost about 3 to 5 million kids out of school. We're using our resources much more better. The World Bank that I've told you is targeted directly targeted to out of school children. We're talking about the Agile program that we're running. I spoke to you about the second child program that First Lady will be launching. The second chance program the president is already doing. And we also are we're using school feeding to move kids out of school. For the first time, Ministry of Education were collaborating with Humanitarian Affairs Ministry to run the homegrown school feeding program. As we feed these children in primary school, give them very balanced 1 meal a day. We're using technology now. We've moved out of the corrupt practices of the past, which is all about procurement, vendors cooking food, and they cook poor quality food to our children. We're now engaging their mothers. We're doing conditional cash transfers to them. We will be using a kind of IP model, well-designed nutritional food. We'll give the mothers food stop. We'll pay them for the condiments to feed their children. And as we do this school nutrition feeding program, we're going to link it to school attendance, where we will use technology to monitor children attendance. If they have less than 70% attendance in school, the mothers will not get that kind of conditional payment that we're giving them. So we have clear paths on how we will do that and how we're already doing that. We have a robust jury and out-of-school commission now that has been given clear legislative power to make policy and implement. So we're retrofitting the out-of-school schools that have been built for out-of-school children. Almost 275 of those schools were built 1.5 decades ago. We're rehabilitating them. We have teachers that we're going to move from M-Bias agency to support, and we're also giving more funding to our managerial and out of school commission. And we also have this high ministerial team where UBEC is working in sync with our managerial and out of school commission, and where the nomadic education commission is working in sync. We're putting policies together, we're collaborating together, we're acting together so that we're more impactful. And you will please hold us accountable. We're moving kids already, and the number of kids who move out of school will continue to increase. And also, as we do this, we're talking about basic technology skills. That's what we're doing here, as opposed to with this out of school, we're put beyond numeracy and literacy that have been given to them in the past. We added vocational skills, and we're adding digital skills as well. So that by the time we move these kids out of school, we give them the additional literacy and numeracy they need. We're also equipping them with life skills. We're also equipping them with digital skills as well. So I'll stop there, Chidima.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you. Right, before we get on to the hands which are raised here, let us get some questions from the comments right here. Right, so we have the question: how can state agencies like science, technical, and vocational schools management board collaborate more effectively with the Federal Ministry of Education, which is your ministry, and the Commission on TVET? Great, I hope you got that question. So the next question says, I think this is more advisory, I guess. So it says 3 main languages were Zambia, should be made mandatory in schools as a tool for future cohesiveness of the populace. French should also be taught to help Nigerians take advantage of the ECOWAS free-flow markets, since Nigeria is bounded entirely by French-speaking neighbors. So we have another question from the comment section, which is: the news on social media that NYSC will now be 2 years. I mean, that question is that true? Is that true that NYSC will now be 2 years? Share with us, Your Excellency. Thank you.
You don't want to take those questions first, actually. Yes. Okay, before you. Now, let me quickly correct my what I probably said. I said we're moving out of school children into school. So that's what I meant to say. We're not moving kids out of school. We're moving out of school children back in school, based on all those strategies I spoke to you about. Let me quickly talk about the exciting thing you said about NYSC being 2 years. I wish it were today. We just had a roundtable meeting today. One of our biggest philanthropists, Big Wing, the founder and everybody were here today. We have another meeting later this evening with Vice President. Big Wing International has supported several key areas of youth empowerment, the skilling and reskilling of youth to give them opportunity. And I'll use this medium to thank the founder again, Ms. Jamie Cooper, for our benevolence, for our passion in supporting sub-Saharan Africa and focusing in the area of nutrition, supporting our health care sector, supporting education, a TV program, working with the youth minister, supporting the youth sector. She's worked with Honourable Mr. Anatu about creative economy, working with special advisors with President Ms. Bala Adiza Bala Small on area of policy coordination, and more work to work with the Nigerian Government Forum. So today, that conversation about NYSC came up, and just yesterday I met with the new Director General of Nigeria Youth Service Corps, paid a courtesy visit at the office, and everything we discussed yesterday. Ms. Adiza wasn't there. She just regurgitated exact same thing, that NYSC was set up in 1973 as a paramilitary body with the crowd to instill discipline, people marching, waking up at 4 a.m. And in 1973, that was what we needed. Today, that's not what we need. We now need to totally reform NYSC to meet the needs of our people today. We've grown in population, we've quadrupled in population. When NYC was set up, we were just about 70 million. Today we're 220 million. We're projected to reach 400 million people by the year 2050. NYC today trains about 500,000 Nigerians, youth out of a population. Let's redesign it to what we need to do. So we came out of that meeting today, layered on what I discussed with the DG yesterday. And where that information about 2 years of NYC on social media is coming from, please, and let me clarify, NYC is not 2 years yet. It was what I proposed to the NYC DG that, listen, we have high unemployment. NYC has done so well in several of the programs over the past several decades. Can we not make NYC 2 years? The other things we need to do, we have shortages of teachers in our rural areas. We have tens of thousands of graduates who have gone to good national colleges of education, out on the streets, unemployed. You look at the demand and supply side of our teachers. Today, supply side, we have ample supply. We're not creating demand. So we're training teachers and we're suffering in the midst of plenty. We have plentiful supplies of well-trained teachers, but we're not creating demand for them. Can NYC not do what we call teachers corps that's been done successfully in other parts of the country? NYC will have a 2-year teacher corps program that you get teachers, sign them on to go to rural areas for 2 years to train our kids in the primary school, secondary school, where we're lacking. Then how can we also layer on nurses corps, doctors corps, that you sign them on to go to these rural areas? But then, these were good ideas. And again, Ms. Adiza talked about how we can do several of these things. But what we've now agreed on is that we cannot do any of these things because we're a country of law and order. And we have to now go revisit the NYC Act. If we have to do comprehensive changes to the NYC Act to make it to reflect the needs of today. And what I can promise anybody is that this President Tinubu is all about innovation. So we go to him, we plan on how we're going to change NYC Act to be more reflective of the needs today. I can promise anybody, the President will sign up on it. So Mr. Adiza will be working with the Youth Minister to move the agenda forward. So I want to clarify myself. NYC is not yet 2 years, but we're going to work in reforming NYC to meet the needs of present times in Nigeria. So I think I answered that question about 3 mandatory languages, French, English, and so I agree with you, but we also have to be careful of what we wish for. I'll tell you the problems that we had today that we have to battle, myself and Honourable Minister of Education in the ministry today. People came before us and talked about mother tongue language of instruction in foundational level, using mother tongue language as instruction in a foundational school. Yes, evidence-based. If you train a child in his mother tongue, in the mother language, mother tongue in the earlier part of the training, early child care part, early childhood development part of that journey, lifetime journey, and primary 1 to primary 3. Yes. So we had a national policy of education that says the first 3 years, train them in their mother tongue. And after that, transit into English. It's been badly abused in certain sectors of the country. We have a serious problem today. We're creating illiterates part of these children. In these 2 major geopolitical zones of our country, they've taken it out of hand. They're using mother tongue to primary 6, to GSS, and sometimes in secondary school. So these kids are finishing in their mother tongue, and you were telling them to do YX in English. We're telling them to jam in English, and they're failing out. So this is now a huge problem. We have to address this. Now, the countries where we talked about mother tongue, we talked about India. they have a national language. Come to Africa, Tanzania, Swahili, they have a national language. You go to the other countries that we made references to, they have one national mother tongue language. In Nigeria today, we have 662 languages. So in Lagos now, you go to Ajegule, where you have predominance of Igbo. Are you going to train, let's say, schools in Ajegule to mother tongue in Igbo? You go to Kano, it's Alausa, but you have Yoruba there. What's mother tongue language? So this was ill-conceived policy, totally ill-conceived policy. We're moving, I wish we didn't have to meet these problems. When people make big nationalistic policy like this, you have to look at that peculiar situation. Now we've put ourselves in a bad situation, but we will solve it. Now, let's go back. People that were trained 40 years ago, it was all English everywhere. They turned out to be the best people in the world, best brain in the world. So when we talk of evidence-based, it's just matching our benefits with this mother tongue. And the problem we've ended up creating for ourselves now is huge. So this language thing, we have to be careful. Let's use English to solve all our problems first before we start saying language here, because we end up creating more problems. And I'm sorry, the person that asked that question, if that's not what the answer you want to hear, I'm sorry about it, but we as a policymaker, we have to be accountable. We have issues. We now have big problems to confront. So I'll stop there.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you for that great knowledge you shared to us. I also
You're freezing. I can't hear you, Chidima.
want to support you, and I believe I support that, Your Excellency. In other words, let's try to be concise, put to practice English as proper, and probably the French language, as he said, just for that dialogue of the ECOWAS circle. Great. So let's have right here, Your Excellency. It has been so far very, very amazing when having you share your thoughts on your area of specification, sir. But in other words, we have the senior legal counsel to Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So we have a senior advocate of Nigeria right here in our midst, Honourable Babatunde Ogala. I recognize you especially, sir, for joining us. Thank you. So right here, he's here to literally share his thoughts with us, to add some more to the Honourable Minister, and I duly welcome him once again. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Dr. Chidima.
Thank you very much, sir.
Am I being heard?
Oh,
Okay.
please go.
What am I going to say again? Honourable Minister, sir, I must say I am personally proud. Knowing your background as a medical doctor, came in as Minister of State for Health, and suddenly we found you in education. But from what you've done,
Everybody here, SAN? Chidima, can you hear him? Can you hear him?
If you were not going to have even as an office for the elicitation and for the way you have excellently laid out your plans and what you are doing in the education ministry. I say I commend you and I thank you. What am I going to say to Dr. Chidima, J.K. Adebola, Adeamole, and the team? All I will continue saying is thank you for doing what you do to propagate government of Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, especially to our contemporaries in the diaspora who are not on ground to physically feel and even directly benefit from what the government is doing. It speaks a lot, and it shows how patriotic and how you feel and how concerned you are about your country, notwithstanding where you are. I mean, not like those who will speak even of their country, ill of their country from wherever they are in their privileged positions. So for those in diaspora, Adeomole, Dr. Chidinma, JK and the team, I say thank you very much. Honourable Minister, I also thank you for what you have done so far. I must say, even as close as I think I could be to you, as much as I think I have access to you, today you have blown my mind last night. I didn't know you were doing so much. I didn't know that from the medical background, you have been so integrated into the education sector that you are as knowledgeable as you have shown today, and that you have developed such very robust plans for the education sector in our country. So I thank you very much, and pray that God continuously give you the strength and wisdom to do what you do. In fact, when you talked about approaching the president and immediately approved 150 billion naira for you, I think I had an idea of where that came from and the sacrifice that went into it, which I thought you would mention, that what had to be forgone to show that the president really cared. After I even said, oh, the budget is gone, it was more like, okay, we have to forgo this, even as it affected him and his office, to make sure. I know you were shy of mentioning that, but for people like us who had the rumor, let's help you spread the rumor, you know. So, Honourable Minister, thank you very much. I continue to wish you all the best. And I pray and hope that the beautiful plans you have laid out for the sector, especially bringing back the back to school, bringing back our out of school children to school, because these are the future of our country. I even consider myself as part, perhaps to some extent, part of the past, while the Gen Zs and the millennials are the now, and while those ones are the future, and we must properly integrate them back to be well educated. And like you have rightly noted, when people talk about teaching in our local languages, I mean, I think that are perfectly well researched. Before now, I didn't even know we had over 600 languages in our country. I thought we were talking about 300 to 250, but from the little I've learned from you, it's obviously more. And I must also commend the integration between your ministry, the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry, and how you've been able to make the 1 meal a day for the pupils more meaningful. Unlike in the past where some persons just think to just go there, eat the food and walk out of school. Now, we are beginning to measure it and look, it must be a certain percentage. I mean, for the conditional cash transfer, you have tied it to education, to sending your children to school. So I must commend you. And more integration, the NYC scheme, the reform you are trying to do, I do agree with you. We did youth service some 40 or a little over about 40 years ago, or a little over. And what has really changed? Nothing. Can the NYC of 40 years ago be the NYC of today? I think not. I think not. Then in the past, the colleges of education were taken out of the NYC scheme. Is it a good decision? Perhaps we need to rethink, because the teachers are out there, and yet we have shortages. What is wrong? The NYC scheme in those days, a lot of coppers taught in schools. But now, what we are not harnessing the resources of the NYC. It was meant for national integration, meant for filling the shortfall in manpower, albeit on ad hoc basis. Far back at 1973 when it started, if I recall vividly, to now. But what has really changed? It certainly cannot be the same thing after over 50 years of existence, and things have to be done differently. And I commend you, and when you did mention that even you, when you met with the NYC Director General, you met with the SA on the SA and Disab announcement, and it will appear all three of you were reading from the same and singing from the same hymn. Perhaps that also shows. And the president, in picking his team, was careful in identifying those who have similar thoughts. When three of you are on the same page, it could well be that you're also thinking like the president himself. So, Honourable Minister, thank you very, very much for education. You have come here to educate me, and I'm sure you have educated many more of us. And we look forward to more of the education from you as we go forward. Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. Thank you, do I say, Madam Moderator, and thank you, our participants, and indeed all members of the diaspora team. God bless you, sir.
Great, thank you very much, Honourable Ogala. That was a very nice one from you, a very nice encouragement from you on speech. Thank you. Great, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a very interesting one so far in all the way. Right here, I just want to chip in something to His Excellency, Dr. Tunji. Right here, I just want to say this, yeah, you know, having been a practice professional doctor, you know, transformed to the media sector. So I just want to add this to a plea right here on your table or a strategy. I think having, you know, a large publicity on the importance of education on our televisions is very, very important. I think it would be an added strategy for you or for your ministry, yeah, to literally, you know, spread the increase or growth of the educational status and system of our country, Nigeria. Great. So this is coming from me to you, and I hope that you please, you know, put that to your strategy. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Idima. Before I comment on what you've said, let me really acknowledge my dear brother, lawyer Babatunde Ogala, SNN. Those are the pillars of the legal component of our society, helping us to keeping the government in check, to ensure that we maintain rule of law in the country. And thank you for your service to the country. And SCN Ogala is an insider in this government. There are some things that I can't say, but people like him will say it. Since he let the cat out of the bag, on our president got the 150 billion for ASU out. And let me just, you know, this president, as I said, as I always said, believes so much in this country, and he spent the last 30 years fighting for this country. And lawyer SAN Ogala just kind of brought what I was waiting to say last about the negativity that Nigerians have about Nigeria. Please, I want to use this platform. I know there are hundreds of people and many more hundreds of or thousands watching this program. We're too negative about our country. We have a great country. The same Nigerian that will be here, you complain. You go to England, you go to Germany, you go to US, you start talking positive about those countries. Look at those citizens in those countries. Even when the government is doing the worst of the country, the only thing they say about the country is positive. I've lived, and I think I have the capacity to talk about this. I've lived 30 years out of Nigeria. I'm here now. This is a good country. We have a good country. And today we have a president that believes in this country, believes in youth, the capacity, capability, the power of the youth to continue to change this country for better and for them to be better out of this country, to recreate this country now into the eternal future. Whatever decision this President Bola Ahmed Tinubu makes, he makes it look into the future. When the president makes a decision based on the lives of the youth, their children, their grandchildren, you can be rest assured 100% of the time that those decisions are right decisions for the country. And this is just one of the things SCN Ogala let it out. The 150 billion that the president at the last minute put in the budget for ASU was taken out of budget, the state house budget to accommodate this. So I didn't want to say that because I don't have the capacity to say it, but now if the president hears this, I'm not the one that said it, was SCN of Ghana that let it out. I just added credence to what he said. So please don't hold me accountable for that. But then Chidima, thanks so much for what you suggested. You have a large viewership, and we know that. So we would come more, use your platform more to message what we're doing, what the president is doing in education and in the human capital development sector of the country. And before I close, I want to particularly thank Prince Adeomole for this huge initiative that is spending his own. This is not government budget, it's personal budget being used for this. What you're doing to help articulate the policies, the programs, the improvement that we're seeing in the country today, I thank you profusely as a citizen of Nigeria, on behalf of the government, on behalf of the president, and on behalf of the country. Thank you so much for taking this hard, difficult task and making it so easy for every one of us. Dr. Chidima Madima, thank you so much as well. And Leke as well as the entire New Hope team that's put this program together. I thank you so much. And also for all the people that have taken the time this Saturday in different time zones of the world to join. I know 2 hours is not enough for a conversation like this. I'll find more time to come and report back to you as the person you've been given the opportunity to serve you on this platform and other platforms. But I will share my email address. You can continue to reach out to me, and I'll try myself and my team. We'll try to answer your questions, and if you want other things, how you can support our government, collaborate with the government. We're always open. I try to reach everyone as much as possible. If I'm not getting over across to you earlier than you wanted, please, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's just because I just had other things I had to deal with. So I thank everybody for taking time for us to have this session today.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Honourable Dr. Tunji Alausa, very beautiful.
Dr. Chidima, please permit me to interject before the Honourable Minister leaves us. Honourable Ministers,
yes.
I'm going to humbly request you publicly now. I have been telling the President about this program that goes on week in, week out. And I have also said to him that we look forward to him to come up one day and just say hello to us. Please give me assurance that you will join me in that quest to have him appear on this program someday, sometime in the near future.
Yeah, you have my commitment on that. SCN, you know how much highly I think about you. You know that. So
thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much, distinguished. Thank you very much, sirs. I do appreciate that request, and we hope to have that in a short time. Thank you. Great. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, right here. Before we close up, we would have a closing remark from Mrs. Rakia, but then I want to extend my deepest acknowledgement and thanks to Mr. Amole for, putting up this conversation or this interactive organization just to hear from our delectable executives, to share the knowledge on various ways and which we are literally creating solutions towards, certain problems or concerns of our country. Thank you very much to him and all executives behind this. Now, let's have Mrs. Rakia to please close with her remarks. Thank you.
Dr. Chidima. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we draw the curtain on today's event. Before we go, I'd like to thank our special guest, Dr. Tunji Alausa, Honourable Minister of Education, for your comprehensive analysis of the work of your ministry. Thank you, sir. As always, thank you also to our participants who joined us from across the globe. Join us again next time for another exciting event. On behalf of the Renewed Hope Global Virtual Town Hall Conference team, have a great weekend. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Rakia. Have a great weekend, you all. My name remains Dr. Blessing Chidima Ogo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao.